Hello, welcome to Furious Driving, and today we're going to be doing some work on the Volvo. This thing has been sat for a year, or been driven for a year, without being serviced, and I'm not sure how long it had been serviced previously before I bought it. I'm going to get in the car because the wind is ridiculous today, and I'm on the verge of being carried off to the magical land of Oz at any moment, so we'll get as far as we can before that happens. Now, this car came from its original owner, one owner from new before I got hold of it, and it was very well cared for. I mean, it was serviced on the button every time, and it had a cam belt not long before I bought it as well. But I bought it about a year and a bit ago, just before the first lockdown, and so it's not been used a great deal, but I didn't service it immediately because, well, I didn't think it needed it. But now it's a year on, probably time for some fresh oil in this thing, at the very least. Some new gearbox oil as well, it's a bit lumpy. Right, let's crack on. Now, I do still need to re-clean this engine because after that radiator pipe burst and just coated everything with antifreeze, it looks like there's a snowstorm gone off. But we'll start off with the oil on this thing right now. Now, this car was fastidiously maintained by its last owner, who looked after it and loved it like you would not believe. It has only ever had genuine Volvo oil filters its whole life, so I wasn't going to change that, so I've been down to the Volvo dealership and bought a genuine Volvo 351787-3 oil filter for this thing. So I'll get this oil drained out and get that slapped on while we would do everything else. Alright, so here's the sump plug. You can just about reach it with the end of an extension bar. Unfortunately, this Volvo is so high off the ground you don't need to jack the thing up. You can see a really good look of how mucky it got when that radiator pipe went. Not good at all. It's a weird size though. I've got 24 and 27mm sockets, and it's bigger than one and smaller than the other, so I've gone to Imperial, and a 1 inch seems to just about do it, so we'll go with the 1 inch. Now, whenever I film videos in the workshop on the GoPro, people always complain about the audio quality, but at least you get a video. This Nikon Z6 II is my new camera, is driving me up the wall because it starts recording and about 10-15 seconds later it often stops, and it just completely missed the entire last segment, and to reach underneath it all the way to do it, got a big long extension bar, and then the oil came out and it was looking quite runny but quite clean. Very annoying. That's why I use the GoPro with the bad audio normally. And you always have to do the hunt for the sump plug. Well, I was wrong. I thought it had Volvo genuine filters its entire life. It looks like the last one was actually a Bosch rather than a genuine Volvo, but still a decent one. I always start this thing the wrong way around, every time without fail. I don't know how, but it's a knack. So this is perilously close to the alternator, so we've disconnected that now. There we go, finger tight. Why do they always put oil filters in places they're going to drip into places that's going to fill with oil? Genius. That's going to stink now. And don't forget your little smear of oil from the new stuff. Well, it's going to be oily enough in the old stuff anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Well, that was easy, apart from the mess. And before I forget, let's put some back in again, because that would be a bit awkward if I did forget. It takes 3.75 litres of 1040, according to the book. That's about right, maybe a bit low, we'll check that in a minute. That's interesting. The black goop is blown off here, which I guess means the PCV, the positive crankcase ventilation, needs looking at as well, which is something I plan to do, probably not today, but certainly in the very near future. It lives down there, vaguely inaccessible underneath the injection, which I don't really want to be disturbing, because the cage injection on these things, once it's set up right, is lovely, but as soon as you mess with it, it's a disaster. So try and work out how to take that off without actually disturbing anything around it. But yeah, the fact there's all black goop around here does suggest the PCV needs cleaning. Now, the spark plugs. I don't know how long ago these were changed. It says here in 2015 it had oil, filter and air filter, but it doesn't mention the spark plugs, so they're probably a bit older than that, I guess. Oh, I've got the wrong size socket. Right, second time lucky. Well, I don't think you can see that particularly well. That is not bad. It's a white tip, black bit of soot, so shows well used but not disastrous. Actually quite clean NGKs as well, so decent plugs. The last owner wasn't really caring for this car, it seems. We are putting back in Bosch ones. I didn't check the gap. Hang on. Let's go find out what the gap size is. Back in a second. So a quick trip to Mr. Google and the kettle says that it should be about 0.8 of a millimetre, which is a little tight actually, but hang on. There we go. Bang on. Virtually set from the factory, that one. Now this last one is kind of hard to get to, but like on the Mercedes, on a Volvo, you've got the little tag to pull and you can raise it into service mode. So you've got a fighting chance of reaching this really awkward, hard to get to spark plug. Now, considering how good everything else is in terms of access on this car, this back plug is a real pain. Well, not a real pain, not as bad as a Rover V8, that's a nightmare. Compared to this is just a little bit annoying. This could be easier. Oh my word. I'm waiting for this bonnet to come crashing down on me now. It's quite a big sail up there. Well, that's less easy than it should be on a Volvo. Right, now the last of the everyday ordinary easy stuff, the air filter, which is literally the easiest thing in the world, and that looks, well, fairly newish to be honest, hardly worth changing, but I'm going to do it anyway because I bought it, so there. Well, I do appear to be missing two of the clips on this thing, so it's flapping about a bit, so I'm not sure how much good the air filter is actually doing. Oh well. Now, the fun stuff. Gearbox oil, differential oil. Maybe leave the PCV to the next video, because that looks horrible. But yeah, more oils and things, and the fan belts that you're doing as well. And before I forget, last time I drove this car in the dark, and you saw it on video, the glowworms in the headlights were hopeless. So I got a new set of these Osram night breakers that I stuck in the Alpha the other day, which were brilliant. So let's get these switched out as well. This looks like the same system as the Mercedes W123. One. Well, I'm going to call that significantly brighter and whiter based on pretty much nothing, a hunch, although that side light is broken as well. That's always good to see. Let's make sure there's actually some oil in this thing before we move on. Pretty much dead centre. How's that for a guess? Well, it's raining outside the car, but I've come under the boot where at least it's warm and dry. Only the clouds of dust and grit blowing in my eyes to contend with, because it's still blizzard force winds out there. Now, one thing I have also got to contend with is the fact this drain fill plug on the back of the differential is square, not hexagonal, as I've just discovered. Trying to measure it, I think it's about 19 or 20 millimeters. I haven't got one of these. I have to go find one from somewhere. So I've just been down to two different motor factors trying to find a square spanner socket thing that I can undo that with, and no joy. I'm going to jack it up again and give it one more try with like a regular spanner, see if I can undo it with a crescent spanner. That might do the trick. Otherwise I'll have to move on. I'll go straight to the gearbox because I need to do the gearbox oil on that. What else do we have? Oh yes, I've only got one brake flexi hose for the front at the moment because they were only one in stock, but that's for another video next week. Only got one of the 3 fan belts in stock as well, so I'll make a start on that and try and get that done this evening. Duck inside again because it is absolutely chucking down. Now, why, I hear you ask, am I doing all these service items? The MOT is due next week, but I don't think I'm going to have time to get it booked in and get everything done, because there's a few other tasks that I'm going to need to do to make sure the MOT is going to be a pass first time. So I'll do the service today on the motor stuff, and the brake flexi and a couple other jobs next week. So hopefully when it does finally come to the time to get it booked in and I've got time to take it up to the garage and get tested, it will sail through. Guaranteeing nothing, of course. Right, let's go and jack this damn thing up again. Oh yeah, and the weather has not improved whilst I've been gone. Right, so it turns out a 17mm open spanner will go on there. Just need to get the thing to turn, which it appears reluctant to do. Oh no, it did a tiny bit. There we go, it's free! Free as a bird. A very gooey fixing. Is that actually recording still? Yes, amazing. Another one hits the ground hard. Right, now I've got to siphon this out. So I've got this siphon thing for siphoning petrol, but let's see if it does the same thing for gearbox differential oil. Yeah, apparently it does. There should be 1.5 litres in this diff. It appears to be very heavy liquid because it's not coming out at all easily. Oh, I wish I'd used a short hose on this. I should have cut this short before I started. God, this is not, this is like treacle, this stuff. Oh, finally getting this treacle out of here. Let's get as much out as we can, then get some nice fresh stuff in there. I was hoping to use this thing to refill the gearbox as well. I should have done this the other way around actually, because this is now basically useless as it's full of horrible treacle. Well, incredibly, this is now mostly sucking up air rather than gear oil, which is nice, which I guess means it's done its job of emptying the diff casing as much as it can. Now, file this under, didn't think this through because I didn't work out how I was going to put anything back in again before I started. I couldn't find any funnels in the garage, so I've stolen this one out of the kitchen. Don't tell Mrs. Furious. Well, this is something of a welcome relief. It turns out these bottles are squirtable, so you can just pour it straight in there. I've got 2 of these bottles, which apparently are the correct grade. Let's hope so. They're a much nicer colour. It's like a golden yellow, like petrol rather than off treacle. It should take about 1.5 litres apparently, but I'm sure I didn't get everything out there. Oh, I guess that's full. Oops, I guess that's definitely full. Yep, it is. A bit of extra rust proofing on the back of the differential there. Right, so a quick sit rep for you. As far as I can tell, the differential is done and gear oil smells horrible. Secondly, the gearbox filler are these 2 13mm sockets here. The bottom one will drain out with ease. The one above it, oops, here, the one above it is where you refill it with gear oil. No problem at all, except I've got nothing I can use to squeeze or pump 1.5 litres of gear oil in there. I'm not sure how I did it on last time on another car, on the Rover. So I'm going to have to leave it. I've actually got the oil because by complete chance it's the same stuff that goes in the Borg Warner automatic, according to the handbook. Oops. So I'm becoming fed up of being rained on and lying under a wet car, so I might just leave that for the moment and come back to that when I've got another different squeezy bottle option to do that with, because it's not much fun out here right now. But the thought was there, and it's the thought that counts. Right, so we have done oil filter, air filter, spark plugs, differential oil. We've looked at the gearbox and said, that looks tricky, and left that. Just need now to do the belt, because they do look a little bit tired. But I am now soggy in places I didn't even know I had to be soggy, because lying on the floor in this rain and water has got pretty unpleasant today. Last thing to do really though, before I do the fan belts later on, I don't know if I'll do them on or off camera. It depends how dark it is when they turn up. Just quickly check the thing does still start in neutral. Lovely. Looks happy and nothing's falling out of it, which is a good thing. I've had to go and get changed because it was, everything on me was soaked to the skin. Not a stitch on me was dry. But changing these 3 belts should only be 4 bolts. You undo the 13mm lock nut if you can get a spanner onto it around the back of there, and then you slacken off the 10mm adjuster and it should just drop off. How hard can this be? Yeah, do you like the new lamp? One of the horrible grey dark days like this, it makes things just a little bit easier to try and get things done. God, that's tight. Wrong way, always the wrong way every time. Well, I should be able to just slide that off now, but for some reason I still can't. That is adjusted off the adjuster. That is actually quite loose, but still, should that be able to move more, I wonder? It looks like it should come off, but it doesn't. Why have I not got enough slack on this thing? What else do I need to undo? It looks like everything is undone that needs to be undone. So after just gently slackening merely 1 bolt, I was able, to just push the power steering pump aside and release the power steering belt. Work of a moment. Let's hope the alternator is easier. So that can now go off to the bin. 13mm can be slackened off through here. That releases the adjuster in theory. Why are you a fraction of a millimetre too short? That's too tight for that. I need a new one of these middle-sized ratchet things because that is kind of busted. Keeps sliding out of the thingy. I'll have to go and buy a new one. Oh my word, that's tight. There we go. So in theory, it only needs to be slackened off. The 10mm on the end can do its thing. Let's do it on the power thing. Power driver. That's definitely getting looser. I've got quite a bit more thread to go through on there, so. Damn. Well, that is really slack. Excellent. That can come off. Can I get it over the fan is the next question. Yes! Huzzah! And these are not too bad, but they're just seeing a little bit of cracking on the back now, so goodbye. And likewise, this one. Doesn't look like it was changed at the same time because it's a different pattern. So I wonder if one broke and didn't change both of them. It's a strange thing to do, because always if one belt goes, they're all going to be on the way out. Yeah, it's quite frayed on the edges. Definitely time to go. Goodbye. I really hope these are the right ones. Now I do find it slightly odd that there are 2 fan belts on this car. Going with the pry bar as well, just to give it a bit more of a tickle. There we go, one down. Yeah, so yeah, it's kind of odd that we've got 2 fan belts on here. I've never seen a car with double fan belts, just a regular road car. There's real belt and braces kind of stuff there, isn't it? Let's give that a little tweak up again. There we go. That was in the wrong groove in the middle. So there's a triple belt on the crank pulley. Very weird. That has now come detached. Well, that feels about right already. Hang on, let's give it a little more. Yeah, we should be good there. Yeah, awesome. Right, just into the 19 bolts on the other side now. Oh, where'd that go? Magnetic pickup tool to the rescue. How quick can we reassemble all this stuff, I wonder? Can I remember how it went, is the other question, because I wasn't really paying attention. Probably should have been, that would have been nice. There's a bolt on the bottom which connects, then there's this, goes through the adjuster bar. Oh, don't fall, oh, it's fell on the floor. Go, go, gadget hands. It does feel very loose. Why is it not adjusting enough? Everything's back where it was. I'm not missing any bits now. Alright, so that's not a good thing to do it against. Let's find a solid point to do this against. There we go. That's now... I see what I did. I didn't tighten this off in the right place first. Let's start it and see how it sounds. It's chirruping a bit, yeah, it's still too loose, but I don't see why it's not tightening up anymore. I don't get it. Oh great, the bolt's just snapped. Wonder if that's why it wasn't tightening. So that's probably a bad thing. By probably I mean absolutely 100% definitely a bad thing. Great. I'm going to call that a night. I'm soaking through a second set of clothes. The camera is absolutely sodden. It's drivable, even if it will squeak. Thanks for watching, everybody. Do hit the subscribe button. It makes my life so much better if you do. Yeah, that's all good, I guess. Thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time with part 2 of MOT preparation, which will involve new stuff. Now I'm trying to fix that broken bolt, trying to sort out the other little MOT issues which I haven't mentioned in this video, and cleaning this engine bay probably, because that's actually looking like it might even be acidic, this stuff that came out the radiator, because it seems to be flashing rust off all kinds of bits of metal, which is never a good thing. Right, thanks for watching, everybody. I'll see you again next time.